Guys, welcome again into the channel. This is Trev from Trevessence, and this morning we are going to continue the reading of the book Grace Under Fire. We have been reading this book now for about a month or so. We stopped reading it for about a month, but now we are going to finish reading it. And we're just about halfway in the book. We are just about halfway in the book. But this book kind of take us on a roller coaster. First, the book started out with a bang, and then somewhere in the middle, it sort of cooled down, where it wasn't all that sparklingly interesting, and a lot of people were losing interest in it. But I just feel disloyal if I start reading the book and then don't finish the book. I just feel like that's a measure of disloyalty to the author. So I started reading the book and I'm going to finish reading the book. But we saw that yesterday. The book picked up a lot of steam yesterday, guys. What? The book picked up a lot of steam, almost make me get steamy too. Yeah. Yes, Joe. I cut off the Bible. I cut off the Bible because I don't want to mix the Bible with the book reading. Yeah, I don't want to mix the Bible with this. So I cut off the Bible. And now I'm onto the book Grace Under Fire. So come on with me, guys, and let me read for us. Yeah. Chapter 19 of Grace Under Fire. Morning didn't bring any regrets. Okay, maybe there were a few, but they came much later. Isabel slept until after 8, and when she opened her eyes, she was alone in bed. She heard movement in the other room and surmised that Michael was an early riser, just another trait she was discovering about him. Last night had proven he was indeed a man of surprises. Groaning, she slowly stretched, then went into the bathroom to get ready for the day. When she moved, she was astonished at how tender she was. But then she had used just about every muscle in her body. How many times had they reached for each other? How many times had she reached for him? She was pretty sure she even nudged him awake once or twice. She had been that ravenous. But then, so was he. A shower helped revive her. By the time she dressed, she was wide awake and starving. While she was drying her hair, she noticed Michael's shaving kit wasn't in the bathroom. And when she walked out through the bedroom, she realized Michael wasn't in the suite. She thought he might have gone downstairs for something until she noticed his gym bag was gone. He had packed up and taken off. That was rude, she whispered. Damn rude. She thought of quite a few expletives she could shout just to vent her frustration. But then she came to her senses and realized how futile they would be. Then she spotted the envelope with her name on it on the desk. She dreaded opening it. If he said, "Thank you for last night," she might just let some of those expletives fly. Did he sneak away? No, of course not. Michael wasn't the sneak away kind of man. Still, he was gone. Didn't he want to face her in the morning light? Why didn't he wake her and tell her where he was going? Isabel held the envelope in her hand for a good 5 minutes before she finally opened it. The note was short. Michael had a long drive to get to a meeting he couldn't miss, and he wouldn't be back until early evening. Reagan was in the city and would drive Isabel back to Nathan's Bay. Michael's last line was anything but affectionate. See you at the party. Couldn't be more lovey dovey than that now, could he? What had she expected? She knew what she was doing last night. She had all but begged him to make love to her, and she wasn't at all sorry about it. She just wanted to be with him for one beautiful night. No strings attached. She knew he didn't love her, and she had to remind herself to be okay with that. Mm-mm. Well, I guess grown people problems, huh? Grown people problems. Right, Juba, what's up? Shazai, how are you doing, my love? Good to see you. Good to see you. All right, Juba is here. Juba is the first content creator. Juba is the first content creator in the live this morning. So let me run Juba. Oh, the milk. All right, all right, Juba, let me look for you here. Let me give you some run. Let me give you some love this morning here, Juba. Where is my YouTube? YouTube. All right, Juba. Let me go to Juba. Uh, watch later. All right, Juba Bruce, JUBB. Let me see if this Juba Bruce. Juba Bruce TV. All right, Juba. Juba, you're gonna see this new channel. Subscribe to your name, Steel News. That is me. That is me. So let me run your playlist. All right, there you go, Juba. All right, Juba. All right, you that Juba. You're the first one in the live this morning. First content creator for comments in the live. So there you go. And there is my friend Shazaib. Shazaib is here as well. I think the phone drop over there. So the next one. I think the next one drop over there. So, but anyway, may I continue reading? I'm going to continue reading, my friends. Let us continue. All right. You are very welcome, my love. You are very welcome. My friend Shazaib is here, so Shazaib no have no playlist, and I ran almost all I'm video them the other day. All right, see one next one there, so. All right. Oh my God, Ricky Bell wants something just like me. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. All right, let us continue reading now. You are very welcome, Juba. You are very welcome, my love. All right, here we go. Let us continue reading. Having reasoned it out, she could move forward. She ordered breakfast and opened her laptop to read her emails. One email was from Damon, and what he wrote lightened her mood. He had run into Mia at Starbucks, took her out to dinner, and found himself apologizing. He still didn't know what their argument was about, but Mia decided to forgive him. He didn't think it would be a good idea to ask her specifically what he had done. He ended the email with a disclaimer. He wasn't in love with her. Isabel interpreted his denial to mean just the opposite. Another email was from Lexi, who suggested that Isabel check out several celebrity sites. According to her, at the moment, Isabel was the it girl. Isabel bounced from one gossip site to another and was shocked. Overnight, rumors had started flying. Her face was everywhere, and the reports about her were outrageous. Two different sites wrote that she was engaged to Xavier. Another suggested they were already married. Oh my God. There was also a story that she had signed with one of the top recording labels for millions of dollars. How could they make up such blatant lies and print them? She knew there were people who believed whatever they read. She couldn't stop them. So she decided the only thing she could do about all the misinformation floating around out there was to ignore them. There was a knock on her door, and Isabel rushed to answer it. Maybe Michael's meeting had been cancelled or rescheduled, and he'd come back. When Reagan walked in, Isabel turned away so her friend wouldn't see how disappointed she was. Isabel was disgusted with herself. She was not going to let herself turn into a lovesick, needy woman. The possibility of that ever happening turned her stomach. Forcing a cheerful voice, she said, "Thank you again for letting me stay in this beautiful suite. I'll hurry and pack." Reagan interrupted. "No, no, no. The suite is yours until you leave on Monday." Although grateful for Reagan's generosity, Isabel refused to take advantage. That's too that's too much, she said. "I'll move my things." "The suite is yours until you leave for the airport on Monday," Reagan repeated. "I've already done the paperwork," she added with a smile. "Besides, this particular suite is scheduled for a complete makeover, and it won't be booked again until it's finished. If you don't use it, it will just sit empty until the middle of next week. That's when the crew will start the remodeling." "Reagan, I appreciate all you have done for me, but I want to be responsible for the room charges. I gave my credit card to the front desk." "There won't be any charges," Reagan insisted. "This is your graduation present from Alex and me. We want you to pamper yourself, order whatever you want, and take advantage of the spa." "I was planning to stay at Nathan's Bay tonight," Isabel said, "but coming back here is very tempting." "Just leave your things here until you are back, whenever that is." Room service arrived, interrupting the discussion. The waiter wheeled in a table laden with enough food to feed a large family. Lifting the silver domes, he revealed fresh fruit, yogurt, bagels, cream cheese, and an assortment of Danish and toast with jam. Crystal pitchers were filled with two kinds of juices, and a sterling pot of water was steaming hot for the variety of teas that went with it. "Oh my," Isabel said when she saw the feast. "Have you had breakfast, Reagan? Will you stay and eat with me?" As a matter of fact, I left Nathan's Bay early and I was going to order something when I got there. This is perfect." As she poured orange juice into a glass, she asked, "Are you in a hurry to get back to the island today?" "Not at all, but I'll leave whenever you are ready. I'd like to get some work done, and it's going to take time. Kate called and told me it's a madhouse on the island. The men were sailing to get out of the way while the catering companies get the place ready for the party. They are expecting around 100 people, and there's even going to be a dance floor and music. I think we should also stay out of everyone's way, don't you?" Isabel laughed. "I'm all for that. I brought my dress with me for tonight. I'll come get you around 5. "What time does the party start?" "Around 6," she said. "But why so early?" "Well, some of the guests are quite elderly and will want to leave by 9. That's when the party will really get started. You'll have the rest of the day to relax. Why don't you get a massage and a facial?" The talk eventually turned to the concert, and Reagan admitted she was a little starstruck. "Xavier is wonderful, isn't he?" Isabel said. "Yes, he is. But I was talking about you. When you walked on stage, I what? You took over, Isabel. You were fantastic, and you looked so at ease. The audience loved you." Isabel shook her head. "At ease? I was worried the entire time that I would throw up." Isabel was glad she had been able to convince people she was totally comfortable on stage, but their perception couldn't be further from the truth. Singing with Xavier in front of thousands of people had been a thrill of a lifetime. However, it wasn't a thrill she wanted to repeat. And after all these years of suppressing music, this was a revelation she would never have expected. Maybe she was finally discovering who she was. After breakfast, Reagan left to go down to the business office, where it was quiet and she could get some work done without distractions. Having the rest of the day to herself, Isabel decided to take Reagan's suggestion. She spent a long while at the fitness center, even did some laps in the pool, then showered and ordered a snack. In the mood to pamper herself, she then put on baggy sweats and went down to the spa. She was hoping she could beg someone to do her hair and makeup, but she didn't have to beg at all. Everyone there knew who she was, and the same stylist, a sweet man about her age named Curtis, who had applied who had applied her makeup for the concert, couldn't wait to get his hands on her again. The hairstylist got hold of Isabel first, and while he washed and dried her hair, he told her all about his wife's interfering sisters. Then Curtis stepped forward to do her makeup. He wasn't as heavy handed as he had been for the concert, and as he worked, he confided in great details that his fiance's mother didn't approve of him. He continued his narrative about the woman for a while, then paused and stepped back with a makeup brush in his hand, silently pondering his situation and finally nodding to her. Right, Isabel? Maybe I should stop calling her a bitch. Isabel was pleased he agreed with her suggestion. By the time Curtis finished with her, a crowd surrounded her, and all of them wanted to know every little detail she could remember about Xavier. Answering all their questions took another hour, and she didn't leave the salon until late afternoon. With all the distractions, Isabel lost count of the number of times she checked her phone to see if Michael had called. She guessed she guessed she wanted some kind of acknowledgement that their night together had been memorable. But then, for Michael, maybe it hadn't been. Since it was a dress up affair tonight, she decided to wear a black fitted dress Reagan and Kate had insisted to get her. The crossover straps at the neck and racer back showed off her tanned shoulders. If a dress could be both modest and sexy as hell, this was it. She slipped into her high heel sandals and dabbed on her favorite perfume. Reagan arrived promptly at 5. She had changed into a soft peach dress that looked lovely on her. With her dark hair, the color was spectacular. "We're going to take the service elevator to the garage," she explained. "Why?" Isabel asked. She took her phone and room card from the table and put them in her small waistcoat with her lipstick. "It's quicker," Reagan told her. Isabel accepted the explanation until she opened the door and saw two security guards dressed in black suits waiting for them. "What's going on, Reagan?" There were some photographers out front. Security had ordered them off the property. But if we go out the circle drive, we'll be trapped. There are also quite a few young men and women hanging around. They must think Xavier is here. Oh gosh, you know how fans are, guys? The rumors started about Isabel and Xavier. So here these people now, Lord of mercy, they are hoping that Xavier is at the hotel. Oh boy, when you have fans and paparazzi and them following you everywhere, it's not safe, you know. There were some photographers out front. Security had ordered them off the property. But if we go out the circle drive, we'll be trapped. There are also quite a few young men and women hanging around. They must think EXO is here. Don't be so sure he's the one they're waiting for. You have become quite a sensation yourself. It could be your autograph they're waiting for. Isabel was shocked. She couldn't comprehend why anyone would wait just to get her autograph. You should go without me, Isabel said. They might surround the car. Oh, I'm not driving. Alec is waiting downstairs for us. All we have to do is step off the elevator and get in the car. She took Isabel's hand and pulled her along. Once they were in the elevator with the guards in front of them, Isabel asked, "What about your car?" "I rented it through the hotel, so no worries. I've already given the keys to the concierge. I've made this such an inconvenience for Alex and you. I'm so sorry." The elevator doors opened, and there stood Alec. When he saw his wife, his eyes lit up. "Wow, baby, you look incredible." He then pulled her to him and gave her a long, hard kiss. Isabel didn't want to stand there and watch the two lovebirds, so she moved out of the way and let one of the guards open the back door to the car for her. When the kiss ended, Reagan, looking a bit dazed, was led around the car by her husband, who tucked her into the passenger seat. He then leaned down at the open back door and said, "Hi, Isabel. What are you doing here? What are you doing there? You are supposed to be in the trunk." Getting the start, getting the startled reaction he was seeking, he laughed as he shut the door and went around the car to get behind the wheel. "Your husband has a warped sense of humor," Isabel told Reagan. "Yes, he does," she replied cheerfully. "Doesn't he look handsome tonight?" Alec did look good, Isabel thought, even as she watched him tug on his tie. He wore a conservative navy blue suit with a white dress shirt and a blue and white striped tie. He still looked a bit scruffy for his next undercover case, but there was no denying he was a Buchanan male, which meant he was an extremely handsome devil. "Yes, he does," she agreed. Alec is Alec, is it really crowded outside the hotel? It's not bad. Just look straight ahead. We'll be out of here in no time. This was just plain crazy, she thought. Surely the crowd outside thought EXO was at the hotel. They wouldn't be waiting for her, would they? How long had she been on stage last night? 10, maybe 15 minutes at the most? Her face was plastered on the gossip sites, along with Xavier's, and now Bedlam. She was certain they would all die down soon enough, and the notoriety would fade. Once she was on her way to Scotland, she could escape this madness. They drove out onto the street and were immediately surrounded by screaming fans. Most were chanting Xavier's name, "EXO, EXO, EXO," over and over again. But there were a few yelling her name too. She noticed that some of the more frantic fans were shouting at every car that pulled out. Alec, every bit as Alec, every bit as skilled as a Grand Prix driver, quickly and effortlessly got them on their way. Traffic was congested as usual, yet once they reached the highway, Isabel began to relax. A half an hour later, they were on the bridge to Nathan's Bay. No one would bother her there. Isabel, who used to have a carefree attitude, had become quite the warrior. No matter what, she was going to concentrate on the positives. It was going to be a beautiful night. Nathan's Bay was ready for a party. Every light in the house was on, and when darkness fell, it would become a beacon for everyone on the island. A huge square shaped dance floor had been laid near the center of the manicured lawn. There were posts at least 12 feet high at each of the four corners. A net of tiny white lights attached to the top of the post became a sparkling ceiling. It looked like 1,000 twinkling stars. The valets were setting up to park cars. Alex waved them off and drove around to the back of the house, next to the garages. Wow, chapter 19 is long. Who organized this celebration? Isabel asked. She took Alex's hand and let him help her out of the back seat. Before he could answer, she guessed. Never mind, it was Jordan, Kate, and Reagan, right? I'm right, aren't I? Alec laughed. I was going to try to convince you that my brothers and I planned the party, but you'd never buy it. So, yes, our wives did all the work. All three of them came to a quick stop as soon as they entered the kitchen. The catering company had taken over the space, and their staff, dressed in white shirts, black pants, and black loafers, were rushing back and forth with silver trays laden with delicious looking canapes. That's what it's pronounced? Canap with a tilde over the ES. Is it canapes? That's what I'm going to call it, canapes. Canapes, whatever. The aroma was heavenly. Alec popped a couple of shrimp into his mouth on his way through. Isabel maneuvered through the pandemonium and hurried up to the third floor. Michael's bedroom door was open, and his gym bag was on a chair near the window, which meant that he was back. He must have changed and gone outside to join the party. She could go looking for him, but decided not to. Just in case she returned to the hotel tonight, she changed the sheets on the bed and made sure the room was ready for other guests. The thought of sleeping in Michael's bed tonight crossed her mind, but she quickly rejected it. The way he left without saying goodbye and without trying to contact her all day after what she thought was a mind blowing night together made her feel like a piece of meat, or in this case, a piece of ass. Is that what it was? A one night hookup? She thought about she thought about calling Damon and asking him what the proper term would be. Why would she want to be with a man like that anyway? A man who had the sensitivity of a hedgehog. Isabel realized she was getting worked up without knowing the facts. There might have been a good reason he didn't wake her up to say goodbye or call her all the damn day long. Guess she would find out soon enough. It was time to say hello to Michael and hopefully get an explanation she could believe. When he returned to the first floor, the party was in full swing. Judge Buchanan and his wife were in the living room greeting old friends. So Isabel went to them and once again thanked them for their hospitality. She was in the middle of answering a question the judge had asked when they were interrupted. A woman took hold of the judge's arm, kissed him on the cheek, and told him how happy she was to see him again. After a quick and dismissive glance in Isabel's direction, she turned her attention back to the judge. The woman was tall, thin, and very attractive. She had looked right through Isabel. She was definitely a force to be reckoned with. Isabel was embarrassed, though she wasn't sure why. Being a gentleman, the judge listened to her chat about the evening's festivities for a minute and then, gently removing her hand from his arm, he brought Isabel forward and said, Isabel, I'd like you to meet Amanda Foley. She's a friend of Michael's. Oh, more than a friend, Amanda replied with a sugary sweet smile. Amanda, the judge continued, this is Isabel McKenna. She's Kate's sister. Amanda finally gave Isabel her full attention. Isabel McKenna, aren't you the singer? I heard some people outside talking about you. With that, she gave Isabel a cool once over. So this was the infamous Amanda. Isabel couldn't blame Michael for being attracted to her. She was beautiful. Isabel's response was polite but brief. I guess I am. She wasn't going to lie and say that it was a pleasure to meet Amanda. So she gave a curt nod and turned to go outside. Kate intercepted her just as she was about to open the door. She took Isabel's hand and pulled her into the sunroom to meet more Buchanan relatives. They were eager to talk to her, for they had heard that she had performed with Xavier. Kate had told them, and they had all sorts of questions besides the usual, what was it like? Isabel patiently answered them, and finally, after discussing Xavier for a good 20 minutes, she was able to excuse herself and go back to look for Michael. She knew the only way she could get rid of her anxiety was to talk to him, and God help him if he didn't have a good reason for his rudeness. Jesus, no, sir, I'm not going to be able to read out chapter 19 today at all. Chapter 19 has too many pages. We're going to read it twice. We're going to read again. We're not going to be able to read this all off today. Walking from the sunroom to the front porch turned out to be quite a challenge. She kept getting stopped by friends and Buchanan relatives who had heard about Xavier. By the time she stepped outside, she wanted to put a gag in Kate's mouth to keep her from boasting to everyone and anyone about the concert. Isabel knew Kate was proud of her, but she wished her sister would be a little less exuberant about it tonight. There was quite a lively crowd out on the lawn. The band was playing an upbeat popular songs, and the dance floor was already filled with couples gyrating to the electrifying beat. Noah and Jordan drew her attention. They were glued to each other, slowly swaying to their own love song and ignoring the pulse of the music and the men and women dancing wildly around them. The lawn looked beautiful. There were round tables with white linen tablecloths that touched the ground, and candles, each glowing softly as night rapidly approached. Servers with silver trays of tempting canapes threaded their way through the guests. A buffet was being set up at the north end of the lawn, far enough away from the dance floor that people could carry on a conversation. All right, there we go. That is where we are going to stop for today. Chapter 19 is one of those very, very long chapters. So we will continue reading chapter 19 tomorrow when we come back into the live. I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live. Thank you all so, so, so much. I sincerely, sincerely appreciate you all's love and support on my channel. I sincerely appreciate it. When we come back tomorrow, we will continue the reading of Grace Under Fire. Until then, my friends, this is Cher from Travessence, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great day, everybody.